Good afternoon once again to welcome home to you. I have Bryan Roark with me, CEO of Flaming Rod. Brian, tell us a bit about yourself. What would you like our customer or our listeners to know about you?
Well, kind of a good old boy. I was born in Texas.
Very good.
I grew up in Louisiana, and so I grew up hunting and fishing and all that kind of jazz, riding motorcycles. So being a boy's boy.
Yeah,
And now I live in Florida. Been here for about 20 years. Married to my very first girlfriend out of high school. Um, she wasn't my first marriage. Quite of a story for us getting from there to here. It's kind of like the story of the Notebook. We fell in love young, very passionate, but didn't know what to do with it.
yeah.
And that fell apart and we went our separate ways. But here a few years ago, we we re-met, rekindled, and she's the love of my life.
That's good. It's always good to hear a nice love story and the fact that two people connect and they create something meaningful together. It doesn't always seem to happen that way.
Yeah, yeah, that is true. We had a lot of learning to
Yeah,
get here, for sure. For sure.
yeah. I think in life we've got to learn to love ourselves first before we can attempt to love somebody else or to really realize what that is and to know what's in our heart to give to somebody.
Yeah, yeah. And I think God puts challenges in front of you to
For
uh
sure.
to help you build that, strengthen that.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, being brought up in Texas and Louisiana, I think that gives you all the skills and definitely a unique perspective on life.
Yeah, yeah,
The great outdoors and the I suppose Texas, but growing up in Texas probably brings its own challenges with the heat and the diversity that's there.
yeah. In Texas, I was younger. My dad was in the oil field business, and he ran rigs, oil rigs.
Mm,
So we kind of moved around quite a bit till I was about 10. And then he went into business with my uncle, and they opened a motorcycle shop in Louisiana. So I tell people my parents are hippies. I came out of the womb on a motorcycle.
yeah. Yeah. I
When
could
I
see on
was
the Harley.
when I was a baby, my dad would put me on the tank of his bike and ride me around the neighborhood to put me to sleep when I was cranky.
Lovely.
So yeah. So being on a bike is kind of my zen for sure.
Yeah. Do you still have a bike?
I just sold one. So I'll be on the hunt for another one here pretty soon.
Very nice. Right.
But
Tell
I've
us
owned
what
everything from Ducatis to Ninjas to Harleys.
yeah.
I've just about ridden them all.
What would be your favorite bike if you were to given a choice?
Um, so I had a stretched out Harley that I really, really liked. Um, and then I love the Ducati. The Ducati is just a fun street bike. When I feel like speed, that would be my go-to. If I feel like
Yeah.
just chilling and just kind of cruising, it would be the Harley.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. I think a Harley and Texas goes together, with those big open spaces and the
Yeah.
wilderness. Yeah, for sure. There's something about a Harley which is that rugged and that matchiness and that roar from the engine, such a unique noise.
Yeah, it's that rumble for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but ton of
Tell
fun.
us, tell us, Brian, what do you do with yourself? What sort of what sort of work or business are you in, or what makes you get up in the morning?
Yeah. So I am currently owner of Flame Enterprise. And Flame is an acronym. I'm also former military, so I'm kind of lean towards acronyms quite a bit, but faith-based leadership and mentoring towards excellence is what that acronym stands for. And basically what we are is we're a leadership and business development coaches. And we help coaches that are have been doing it for a while, but they've kind of lost touch with their team and want to rekindle that that leadership feel, that team camaraderie, and start getting up in the morning feeling like they're leaders and leading a good solid team and having fun with it. Not being just managers, managing time and KPIs,
Yeah.
and not getting the success that they want. To the point where they're building a team that at any given time they can kind of step away and take a breather and take their own time and space because they know that they've developed a good solid foundation for the organization.
Yeah, and of course that's so important too, to keep that work-life balance that so many people seem to overlook, and they just either doing one thing or the other. And
Yeah.
it's really got to balance yourself.
Yeah.
So
Then the other
important.
side of it is the business development side, and that centers around all kinds of operational improvements and continuous improvement around the organization, whether it's with your marketing, whether it's with your sales team, whether it's with your logistics or your partnerships outside the organization. Um, so we kind of come in and do an analysis, a gap analysis of the organization, and find where we can find improvements to your processes, and show you ways of getting more revenue and gross profit without spending a whole lot of money, but just
Mm,
making little tweaks here and there and creating processes of continuous improvement around all of that. So it's
very
not
good.
just a one hit wonder
Yeah,
with something you've created a system that is right for your business, your organization for that continuous improvement, always striving for a little extra bang for your buck, so to speak.
yeah. And do you work with individuals or with companies mainly?
A little bit of both, a little bit of both. Initially, it kind of starts out with individuals first. We'll get leadership buy-in, and then we like to help them trickle that throughout the organization. Um, that's a struggle. We talked about it a minute ago, where leaders kind of they they fall kind of away from the culture of the organization because they sit over here, at kind of away from everybody in the culture, in the mind's eye of everybody. I work for that guy. I don't work with that guy.
Yeah, yeah,
And so bringing him back, to that core level, and showing the team that he's in it with them. He's in the foxhole with them,
yeah,
and those kinds of things is really cool. And then once we show the team how to do that, then we help them kind of start to contribute to that continuous improvement by, they have ideas and they have ownership in their job, and
mm,
and ownership in what they do. And so giving them the opportunity to bring those ideas to fruition within the organization just builds loyalty, builds strength, builds camaraderie, and a lot more efficiency than going outside the organization, because they know where everything is. They know where all the bodies are buried. They know where all the potholes are, and they need some guidance on how to navigate them. And so we help do that.
yeah. And isn't that the truth of it all? When companies and businesses realize that the workers are an integral part of their business, if without them, they don't have a business, and that it should be a we rather than me and a them.
Right.
And where it's when you include the workforce that you, because like I just said, they're the people on the ground that are very familiar with the downfalls and where things could be improved upon. That's their feedback is a very important aspect of it.
That's part of coaching those individuals in that role, um, to not be managers.
Mm,
Um, they have the title manager, while it's important, but it's a subset of what they are really.
Mm,
um, you have individuals, to that point, you have individuals that come up through the organization. They're a brilliant engineer, say from an IT perspective. They're brilliant at coding, they're brilliant at networking, they're brilliant at data center stuff. But through attrition, people moving and shifting, going to different roles, they may get tossed into that leadership role, but have never been taught how to do it, how to be a leader.
yeah,
Instead, they're told they're a manager. And so they go down that KPI management hole, and they're managing people based on numbers and outcomes, not versus that servant leadership, mentorship mentality, where they roll their sleeves and get to know, hey, Declan, you've been doing this job for a while. Why? Why do you come to work today? What thrills you about your day? Getting to know those little nuances about the people that work, basically for them, but giving them the sense that they're working with them,
mm,
right? Because they have a care of what drives them. What drives you may not drive me. And
exactly.
so I can't motivate you based on my desires, my needs, my wants, what makes me get up and have joy in the day.
Yeah.
I can't drive you on that because yours are different than mine. But if I get to know that and I take the time to know that, then I don't have to worry about the KPIs are not are numbers. They're important to, making sure you're meeting deliverables. But where the success comes is that leadership, mentorship, and having that humble servant leadership mentality.
Mm. Do
Declan,
you do you find that,
how can I help you accomplish a task today?
yeah, and do you find that that attitude is changing where, the old work model was I'm the boss and, you do what you're told type of thing, and now it's more inclusive. Do you find that there's more of an awareness of that approach?
I think there's a strong desire for that, for
Mm,
sure. Especially since COVID, and people got so locked in their box at
mm,
home. The only way that they talked to each other was like we're talking now. And now the cage is open, and we are kind of sneaking our way out of the cage and learning
yeah,
how to communicate, learning how to develop those relationships and strengthen those bonds, from a team and cultural perspective.
yeah,
I think there's a craving for that because we went, it's we say for so long, it was 2 years, but that 2 years actually went by pretty quick.
yeah,
But it was detrimental to a lot of people. Um, and a lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people didn't know how to do their jobs anymore because
mm,
of the different ways of going about their day to day had completely shifted and changed.
yeah, and of course, this day and age with technology being everywhere, and that need for scrolling, that people have been slowly but surely losing the ability for how to communicate with somebody else and how to talk with them because they're so used to uh, streaming stuff or working on the texting stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I think I think that's shifting though a little bit. The more and more people are starting to um, congregate, so to speak, build communities. I'm part of a community, BLN, Business Leadership Network, where it's, every time we get together, we have a mixer or whatnot. It's like, we may have not seen each other in a month or 6 months. It's all hugs and how are you doing? And it's a completely different feeling. It's not it's not, hey, can I get a lead from you?
Yeah.
Can I get your card? It's, hey, Declan, how's your week been? How's your month been? I missed you, man. How's your family? How can I help you? What's going on with
Mm,
you that I can help you with? And if I don't know or have an answer, I have the empathetic ear to shut up and listen to what you say and then respond, hey, I've got a guy, I've got a gal that I may want you to talk to, and make that connection, follow through with that. And that sense of community, I think is growing stronger and stronger. There are groups growing. You look on Facebook all the time, whether it's a virtual group or it's, face to face, they're growing every day. Because there is that desire. We're not meant to be alone.
No.
We're not meant to be in a box. We're, by nature tribal.
Yeah.
That's the way God made us. We didn't walk through those valleys alone, right?
That's it. What do you find your biggest challenges are?
Um, with as far as getting a client or
Well, it is. I suppose we're getting a client, but getting your concept across. Maybe not everybody is familiar with this, and maybe they are. I just said from COVID, that definitely was a game changer, and it turned everything up on its head. And it probably be a lot of people came out of it knowing that they have to do things differently, but they might not know what that was. And so they're looking for direction, or they're looking for new ways of doing things.
yeah, yeah. So I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. Is one of the biggest challenges is people are aware that they need a shift, or they need a coach, or they need a help, but they don't know who or how to get to that point,
Right.
who to trust. Um,
Yep.
and that's, listen, I've over the past couple of years, I've gone through a couple of coaches, and some of them I was like, man, that was the biggest waste of money and time that I ever spent, because they were just regurgitating stuff that was out of a notebook.
Yeah.
While that stuff as a foundation is important, it's like a KPI, right? It's a reference point that you fall back on as you are coaching somebody to hit that next mark. You know, if you're in the gym and you're doing weight training, you're not going to pull out a book and a diagram to show the guy how to do a bench press. First off, you're going to get down there and you're going to do it yourself and show them. And then you're going to get down there and you're going to spot them along the way, pointing out where they can make better pivot points, how fast they need to go, the tempo and the count, all of that jazz. But you're not going to do that while you're reading a book.
No.
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 So it's getting in there and finding those people that can, genuinely help you. You're going to have to click with them. All personalities aren't going to mesh. It's funny. Sometimes me and my wife joke, we're talking and saying the same thing, but neither one of us hear what we're saying. There's just days like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and everybody goes through that. That's kind of cyclical, but you got to step back and again, have that empathetic ear and be able to come back to it and readdress it. And if it's worth readdressing, then you move the needle. If it's not, then you go a different direction.
I suppose like that too. It's the importance of being authentic, of being coming from the place of heart, from the place of your true self, rather than an ideal or an idea where that there's the time for charlatans and shapeshifters is gone, and that really now you got to be coming from your authentic self.
Yeah, I was just about to say that authenticity is key. And I think more people are fooled by unauthentic individuals because of flash and pan. Like
Yeah.
you said,
Shiny objects. Yeah.
yeah, don't mind the guy behind the curtain over here, the Wizard of Oz, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think people are becoming more and more wise to that. but there's definitely, a hunger for that coaching. Everybody needs a coach. A coach needs a coach,
Mm,
and I think it's important that you do that.
for sure, for sure. The I suppose, what would your ideal client look like?
Um, my ideal client is kind of twofold. Um, one is that leader that is kind of coming out of the cage a little bit. They've been doing it for a while. They're tenured. They've had good success, but they've kind of plateaued a little bit, and they want to get that extra edge. They want to get back to grooving with their team a little bit better, and they want to walk away at night fulfilled with their day. They want to walk in with a skip and a jump, ready to go to work with them, for them, not have to manage them. Um, and they want to they want to build a team around them that they can trust and know that's loyal, that's going to want to work for him just as or her as much as he does for them or she does for them. The other is that new guy that's been tossed in the role that no one's ever really mentored. Um, you know, I did IT, value add reselling for about 15 years. And I saw year after year these incredibly brilliant individuals get tossed into a leadership role without any kind of mentorship or training, and almost set up for failure.
Mm,
I saw quite a few of them. They got in it. It was daunting, and because they didn't know how to lead a team or mentor a team, all they knew how to do was create KPIs, run numbers, and show them the stat. And um, they either started hating the job because of what they had to do with those outcomes, because leadership above them would look at those KPIs and go, "What are you doing down there? How are you? You're not leading anyone." And then there would be stress there. Then there's stress in, okay, I've gone so far. How do I turn this around? Because now I've got to discipline or chastise, or I've got to find a way out of this hole with this individual to either lead them to success or lead them out the door. And it gets daunting because they start off, in a puddle,
mm.
drowning before they even get going. So we like to get there before that happens, and get them nice and settled in so that they know how to navigate, the role, because it's not just doing the role that they had before that they were brilliant at, that they were super successful at. It's navigating their team. It's navigating leadership outside the team. It's navigating other groups within the organization. Oh, and by the way, we have partners that we work with. We gotta learn how to navigate those relationships also.
Mm.
All the while making the company and the organization more money and being more efficient and improving on our processes. So a lot of moving parts that they're not used to because they just came in and did their 9 to 5. And I call it 9 to 5. A lot of times it's more than that, but
Yeah,
they did their specific job, and they didn't take on any other parts of the role.
absolutely. And of course, as you pointed out, is that we never stop learning, that it's a continuous process. Is there a specific type of books or any type of book that you would recommend? What would be the most significant book that you would have read most recently?
Um, God, there are so many. Um, I'm constantly reading books about um learning how to navigate different personalities and listen.
Right.
Um, I think I'm a faith-based guy also. Um, and a book that kind of turned me around. Um, e- Even though it's faith-based, it has a whole lot of business value to it, and it's called The Mind of Christ. And it talks a lot about how he navigated the world and the people around him.
Mm,
And I think that if you start looking at things like that, it makes you a better husband, a better father, a better leader,
yeah.
more successful individual, more joyous and happy individual. So that was a pretty impactful book for me. And I did it as a study. I have a neighbor of mine. We wake up every Saturday morning, we take chapters of books
Lovely.
and and read through them. And sometimes they're faith-based, sometimes they're not. But that this one happened to be. And we take it out and we try and find um faith-based um value in it, no matter what it is,
Yeah.
and bring that to the table as well. And we have a lot of fun doing that. A lot of fun doing that because you can see in history where a lot of that has affected some of our best leaders around the world.
Yeah. Without a doubt. Because I mean, I suppose, while we all have this divinity power within us, we are humans, but we need to call on that divinity part and to work with divinity to create anything which is really long lasting and meaningful. That
Right.
it's not that we're doing it by ourselves, but we kind of bring our God into it as well, to the
Yeah, I
forefront.
call it quieting the noise. That
Mm,
noise at 6 inches between these things right here,
yeah,
and getting out of your own way.
yeah,
Sometimes taking a beat,
yeah. That
giving it to
small self that,
God,
yeah,
and then come back and do the work.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And that's a fact. That small self is always in the background wanting to do everything. I can do it. And yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I don't need anybody or anything. And it's like, I can't just
Right.
sit down there for a while, take a break. Yeah.
Yep.
What
Yep.
What do you like to do on your time off?
Well, ride motorcycles, obviously. Um, got an 11-year-old daughter. So we like to go and have fun and do stuff all the time.
Mm,
Um, I skydive here and there. I haven't been in a few years, but I'm itching to get back out there if my wife will let me. But that's been fun as well. I had picked up flying planes, and I haven't quite finished that yet, but I'm getting close to working through that and getting my pilot's license too. Just small craft, but just something to put on.
yeah, and of course that's one thing that people who, they talk about the quietness, that everything is just still and quiet, and it's just you and your creator.
Yeah, when you
Uh,
jump out of that airplane, that is 60 seconds of just you're a superhero.
yeah.
Um, I remember my first time, a girlfriend of mine bought me a tandem jump, and I'm deathly afraid of heights at this time in my life. I'm working through it because I had started, bouldering and did some mountain climbing and stuff like that. Still afraid to be on a ladder.
Mm,
But machismo me at the time, I got this. I got this. I get up there, I'm white as a ghost. And but I did it, and I jumped out, and we hit the ground, and I was just like, man, that was cool. The
mm,
girlfriend and I didn't make it, but the next year I went again to see if I liked it.
yeah.
So I did. We did a backflip out of the plane, had a blast. Walked in like I was James Bond, and I was like, man, this is awesome. So the next year I went back and I'm going to do this on my own. And this is my first solo jump. Now, mind you, I've been in class 8 hours of if this, then that all day long. If this, then that. And you jump out of the plane with 2 instructors, one on each side, and you don't get to enjoy the jump this time. It's all
Mm.
business. Where's your altimeter? Where's your reserve? Where's your chute? Where are they? Where's the drop zone? And it's all head nods and pointing, right? All the while trying to maintain yourself from flying around and flailing around. 60 seconds goes by. I hit all my marks. I wave them off and I go to pull the chute. I'm so stoked. Declan, I have just done a skydive by myself. Well, they were watching, but it was by myself, right? I'm stoked. Wave them off. I got this. I know where it is. I already told them where it was. Grabbed that thing and I pulled so hard. I pulled just like this and I turned. When the chute came out, it twisted. So it did not fully deploy.
Mm.
At that point, I became a character in the Matrix. Time kind of stopped. If this, then that. If this, then that. Grab the strings, pull, kick opposite direction, check, check, no, pull, check, check, no. Third time, I'm at about 2,700 and some odd feet. 2,500 feet, you're supposed to cut away and hit your reserve.
Crazy.
I kicked one last time. Poof. And it opened up.
Yeah.
I came in, I walked in, and I was so proud. It's like, man, I'm freaking Superman. You know, I'm a huge Superman fan. So, but yeah, I'm Superman. But that wasn't the lesson. The lesson was for me, and it took me a while to figure it out, recognizing my blessings.
Mm.
I had to go through those steps of learning. I had to go through that pitfall of almost failing.
Yeah.
I had to have God stop time, quiet the 6 inches between my ears,
Yeah.
so that I could make the motions that I needed to make and make
Brilliant.
that perfect landing.
Amen.
So,
That's one hell of a story.
yeah,
One hell of a story.
yeah.
Bryan Roark, has been lovely talking to you.
You as well,
Is
Declan.
there, what would you like to leave our listeners with? Any, if they wanted to contact you, how would they contact you?
Yeah, so I would love to chat with you about your business and just get to know you a little bit. We do a free analysis, 60-minute analysis where we kind of run through some of the things and challenges that that you're currently going through. And then I've got a 90-day, $100,000 challenge where we take you through 3 different strategies to get you an extra 100K. And then from there, we see where we can grow at that point. But they can reach me at flameenterprise.net or Bryan.Roark, and that's Bryan with a Y, and it's Roark without an E at flameenterprise.net.
Lovely stuff. That was brilliant, Bryan.